This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your source for the latest Iowa ag news headlines right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, Mark Magnuson, and Andy Peterson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Monday, April 28th of 2025. It is a stormy day today. As of this episode airing, the storms might be in the area already. If they are, make sure you're staying safe as these severe weather events proceed through the state, kind of from the south up to the upper Midwest. In today's episode, Andy Peterson will be talking with Iowa Corn President Stu Swanson. We'll also have a check of the closing markets with Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. But first, here is Andy Peterson's conversation with Stu Swanson as they caught up before planting season. Andy?
Let's go out in the field, shall we? Get a planting progress update from northwestern Iowa, the Galt area, and Stu Swanson, the outstanding president of the Iowa Corn Growers Association. Stu, it sounds like you've been busy.
Yeah, we've had a nice little start to spring. It's always exciting to put your toe on the line and fire up the tractors and get started. So back at the end of March, we had a corn grower board meeting and returned from that and went right into a tiling project, which we finished about first week of April. And then we began planting actually here on April 11th. We've got the corn in the ground. We finished that up and got a start on some soybeans. About 25% of our soybeans are in the ground too.
It sounds like you've been in one of the drier parts of the state. Highway 20 corridor, north central, northeastern Iowa, east central Iowa has gotten dumped on. But up until here as of late, you've avoided the rains, I guess. And sounds like conditions were pretty fit for you.
Yeah, it certainly was hard to pass up those days where the soil conditions was really good. Soil temperatures weren't necessarily conducive to what you want, but we've learned over the last couple of years if your soil conditions are right, we need to at least get an opportunity to get started. So we want to take full advantage of that and feeling pretty good as we've sat now for about 8 days without turning a wheel.
Kind of funny how this works, right? Those windows open and you ought to be ready to hit them, and then Mother Nature comes in and shuts you down for a while.
Yep, she always reminds us that she's in control, and I guess we'll do the best we can to take advantage of what she gives us.
So is your progress somewhat representative of your area, Stu, or
no?
You're one of the only ones with corn in the ground?
Yeah, there's a fair amount in the southeast part of Wright County. I don't think you have to get too far away, and it's kind of a mixed bag. There were farmers that started on soybeans, kind of went after those pretty hard. Some of them that were actually running both planters. So we've seen a fair amount of crops put in here. In talking to other board members across the state, it's kind of a mixed bag that same way. But the southeast part of Wright County has been in a drought, D2 or D3 for the last 3 years. So it's going to take some moisture to rebuild what we've got. But we've got a good start, and I think the farmers that have got some crop in the ground feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, you want those tiles to be running sooner rather than later, right?
Yeah, a good return on investment, especially what we put in right away this last spring. So,
did you change any acreage this year based on the markets, or what was your kind of take on that situation?
I actually did have a farm we put corn on corn. Our typical rotation of 50-50 is held over the years. I had a farm that we were trying to get some pieces put back together into the one crop on the whole piece. So we took advantage of a better opportunity for corn pricing than soybeans, certainly. Price of both are kind of disappointing where we're at now. We're kind of crossing our fingers and hoping that the market comes together so that we can see a profit. But like you said, better opportunities for corn, certainly profitability wise than beans for this spring.
Let's go out of the field and go into the boardroom here for a little bit. What are you working on from an Iowa corn perspective, Stu?
Yeah, so we're approaching the end of the legislative session. So things are getting a little chaotic in Des Moines, and certainly Iowa Corn members want us to be engaged on state and federal issues. At the State House, we've been talking a lot about the pesticide labeling bill that has been passed out of the Senate and into the House now. We want to make sure that farmers have all the tools in the toolbox, products that we need to produce corn and soybeans in a profitable way and in a safe way. So we continue to engage on that issue. On a federal level, definitely we continue to talk about the Farm Bill. It just feels like we've been stuck in the mud on that one, hoping that we can keep moving that through after maybe we get the tax bill passed through again in the extension of those existing credits. So those are issues. Also, trade has been first and foremost for all farmers, really. We know that we're exporting a third of our products, and so we need our foreign market buyers to help provide some profitability opportunities for us. These are relationships we've really built over decades, and farmer to farmer and farmer to buyers across the border. Countries like Mexico and Canada that are our number one customers we want to continue to build our relationship with, and some exciting opportunities with other countries like Vietnam and India that aren't our traditional ones, but we see great opportunity going forward.
Yeah, I'm going to moderate a panel coming up here in the middle of May, talking about some of those countries and market development and market growth and expanding middle class and all of those fascinating topics, probably more from an meat animal production standpoint, maybe than row crops, but it does all tie together in some way, shape, or form. I'm sure that Farm Bill stuck in the mud pun was intended, wasn't it, Stu?
Well, it certainly feels like it, yeah.
So what have you got left for planting season? Some soybeans left to go, probably some herbicide applications too.
Yeah, we've got an opportunity to catch up on the spraying there as the corn went in the ground, so we're all caught up there. We've got some pre-herbicides to go on the bean ground yet, and probably 2 or 3 days of bean planting. So if Mother Nature cooperates and when the sun comes out, it won't take long to finish up. But we're also in the pig finishing business, so we've been loading out pigs and providing pork. Corn-fed pork for across the country and across the world. So we'll continue to do that regardless of what the rain does.
Yeah, and maybe doing some marketing too, right? It all just continues to go with production agriculture, and of course, fingers crossed that the technology holds out too and continues to support. Always great to visit, Stu. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Andy. Good to see you.
You as well.
That again was Iowa Corn President Stu Swanson. Thanks to Andy for bringing us that conversation today. We'll take a look at the closing markets next, but first, here's a word from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and we're here right now with Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net for our closing market summary. Robin, first off, what do we see in the grain markets today?
Well, corn struggled most of the day. It did come back at one point in time, almost unchanged in the nearby month, but then it weakened into the close, and I think most of that was because of the pressure that came in on the wheat market. Now, wheat was under pressure all day, and that's because of the heavier rains that were in Oklahoma, Texas, southern Kansas. They've been getting more moisture through there. Dakotas and Minnesota will receive some rain tomorrow. So we're probably going to be seeing some improving wheat conditions. So that puts some pressure on that market, and wheat and corn a lot of times somewhat move together. So I think the weakening wheat market at the close or into the close pulled down some of the corn as well. But soybeans did a little bit better than anticipated at early trade. So we closed a little bit higher on that. Really didn't come from anything specifically outside. There wasn't a whole lot of other news. Now, export inspections on corn were above the average trade expectation at 1.655 million metric ton. That the inspections are 27% ahead of last year at this time. Soybeans came in below the expectations, 439,341 metric tons. So you would have thought that we would have seen something flip the other way, but that's really not the case. And soybean export inspections 9% ahead of last year. Wheat inspections were above expectations at 646,564 metric ton. And inspections for shipping so far 16% ahead of last year. Now, there was a sale of corn of 235,000 metric tons to Mexico on a private sale. So we're continuing to see some fairly decent corn sales taking place. Now, this week, there's going to be numerous trade negotiations that will be taking place with India, South Korea, United Kingdom. The China negotiations are uncertain because President Trump says they are taking place, but China says they're not taking place. So you know how that fiasco keeps on going. So we don't know if, if anything's really progressing there. Now, Brazil expects higher grain exports as China shies away from U.S. ag commodities. We've been seeing that as far as the export sales are concerned. The Trump administration had granted an emergency fuel waiver to allow E15 sales throughout the summer, and that begins now. Some states had that waiver in place, but it's going to be effective across the board, and that's going to be starting on May 1st. So we did see the weakness coming in the corn, wheat, strength in the soybeans. Again, not a lot of real fundamental news that would really push the market one way or the other.
And then looking at the livestock side of things, we know those tariffs have been having an impact on exports for both cattle and hogs. What do we see in that marketplace today?
Well, cattle were up and away, new contract highs again in April through October. Now April goes off the board on Wednesday. But, with the stronger cash last week in the live cattle, we were anywhere from $2 to $3 higher in the lives, $5 to $6 higher in dress. So feedlots have been in the driver's seat. They've been holding out. Higher weights don't seem to be an issue. Packers are reducing kill, but yet they need to be buying some cattle. Domestic demand continues to remain strong. So as long as that happens, there's some reduction on the exports really isn't going to be that much of an issue. Now, box beef today at midday was strong. Choice were up $5.14, select up $3.74. Now, feeder cattle gapped higher on the open today, but they couldn't hold that strength, and they slipped back to close that gap, and really didn't see much change at all into the close of the day. So the live cattle just continue to ratchet higher. It's moving into oversold situation. We all keep wondering when the top's ever going to be in, but it doesn't seem to be an issue right now. On the hog side, they held their own today. They held on to the gains of Friday, couldn't really get any real buying interest going. Futures continue to ride, which I call the technical train, as fundamental support really still needs to develop. Demand needs to really develop to push some of the cutouts consistently higher. So technically, they're buying into that market. Traders seem to be establishing longer-term positions than they had been at one point in time. Midday cutouts were only up 10 cents. Cash, we don't know today because there were only 847 head traded in the negotiated market. So we don't know what cash is going to be, but probably not a whole lot today. Cash was a little bit higher on Friday, which was unusual, but generally on the beginning of the week, we don't see a lot of cash developing in there. So the hog market just kind of, if you want to just say, kind of floated during the day.
All right, Robin, lots of great information today for anyone who would like to get in touch with the folks at agmarket.net for more marketing information. How can they do that?
Well, they can call me directly if they would choose to. My number is 877-256-3253. You can go to our website, agmarket.net. There's an 844 toll-free number there. They can feel free to call in, and somebody will be glad to answer their questions.
All right, great talking with you as always, Robin, and we look forward to more analysis soon.
All right, thank you. Always a pleasure.
That again was Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers close through the market window at iowaagnet.com. May corn down 3 1/4 at 475 1/2. May soybeans up 2 1/4 at 1052 even. May soybean meal down 3 even at 287 even. May soybean oil up 63 cents at 49.91. Chicago wheat down 14 1/2 at 515 1/2. Kansas City hard red wheat down 13 1/4 at 524 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 1 1/4 at 590 even. May oats up 4 1/2 at 369 1/4. On the Merc, June live cattle up $1.35 at 209.60. May feeders up $1.27 at 291.80. May lean hogs up 15 cents at 92.95. Pork cutout down 25 cents at 102.40. May Class 3 milk up 3 cents at 18.30. That's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. That also brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM PM on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Make sure to check out as well our free morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, as well as the Iowa Ag Matters podcast and Pod's Potential. Find those on your favorite podcasting service at Apple, Amazon, Spotify, and Podbean, or once again on our website at iowaagnet.com under the podcast tab. From the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.